Ciao friends and welcome to Simple Italian Cooking. So glad you're here and that you have decided to join us. So today we're going to solve a big problem. We're going to talk about what to do with your leftover turkey. Well, I've got the best recipe, one of the best recipes that you can do if you're just tired of having turkey sandwiches and just slices of turkey. We're going to be making a turkey casserole. Now some would call it a turkey tetrazzini. I tend to call it turkey casserole. But either way, no matter what you call it, it's absolutely delicious, super easy to make, and let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's go over the ingredients for what you need. Okay, obviously you're going to need turkey, so I'm using about 2 cups. And bear with me, I know ingredients aren't all that exciting, but gotta go over it. You're gonna need some butter and some flour. We're gonna be making a roux, and then, which is really easy. Don't let that intimidate you at all, okay? We're gonna go over that. You're gonna need about 2.5 cups of milk. I'm using whole milk. Notice I'm not using half and half or heavy cream. I got about a cup or so of chopped mushrooms, a whole onion, some ground black pepper, and a dash of parsley, and then we got some cheese. I'm using a mix of Romano and Parmesan. You can go one way or the other or both. And some breadcrumbs for the topping, really good. And of course, turkey. So we've got about 2 cups of turkey right here. Now, first thing to know is that this is a very flexible recipe. So feel free to adjust. And we're going to be going over, I'm going to be sharing with you some modifications that you can do for this recipe later down the road, and talk about what you can serve it with. So lots of exciting stuff, so excited. In fact, this is exactly what we're going to be having for dinner tonight. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to heat your pan. Now I am just doing this in a regular stainless steel frying pan, saute pan, and I'm using it on my induction burner. You can use any type of burner you want. I like induction. And you want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Oh, and you know what I forgot to mention? I forgot to mention the actual pasta. So with turkey tetrazzini, there are a zillion different recipes out there. And it's actually not a recipe that is from Italy. So it's not like a family recipe that's been passed down from generations to generations. But it's a convenient recipe to have on hand. By the way, I'm using 1/4 cup of butter, which is half of a stick. So I need to keep it a little bit low. I had a little high there. If I turn it down. And I'm just going to melt the butter because we're going to be making a roux. So really easy to remember when doing this particular roux is I'm using 1/4 cup of butter and 1/4 cup of flour. Super easy, quarter. So one thing I noticed with a lot of tetrazzini recipes, everybody has their own way of doing it. But one common theme that a lot of them use is heavy cream. And I try to stay away from the heavy cream if I can. If I can find an alternative way, I just want to cut back a little bit where I can. I have 3/4 pound of pasta. Now, when talking about what kind of pasta you want it to be something that's good for a casserole. Now, a lot of people will use even spaghetti. I guess, maybe that's the traditional way of how it was originally made. You can use any kind you want. I'm using fusilli, which are like the little spirals, and I find that's just really nice for a casserole type dish. I have the butter melted, and also while this is just sitting here, I'm going to, I forgot to mention, I'm using just a regular baking dish. It's not a 13 by 9, I think this is a 9 by 11, so it's a little deeper, but you can definitely use a 13 by 9 dish pan for that, and you want to make sure that it's buttered, which I forgot to do, so I'm going to butter this right now because I forgot, and I'll just use some of the butter that's in here. All right, so very slowly, now I have this on a low heat, and I'm just gonna sprinkle my flour in just a little bit at a time and then kind of mix it up, and what's gonna happen is it's actually going to thicken. This butter mixture is going to thicken. And that's going to be our roux. It's going to get nice and thick and beautiful. And once that happens, I'm going to slowly add in the milk. And the milk will thin it out, of course, but that's okay. Now, I am certainly not an expert on doing roux. It's something that I am getting better at. You do have to have a little bit of patience, because if you just dump it all in, it's going to get really clumpy. And you really don't want those clumps. I mean, a few here and there are going to be okay, because it'll even out when we cook it. So, I mean, the general idea of a turkey tetrazzini is you create the cream sauce and everything. Sometimes people use cream of mushroom soup or cream of chicken soup. I'm not using any of that. I like to do what I can on my own. But you basically, then you mix everything together. You mix it with the pasta, which you want to have the pasta, you don't have to cook it all the way, because then what's going to happen, you mix it all together so it's like a nice casserole. You put on a nice, breadcrumb topping, and then what you do is you bake it in the oven, and it's really delicious. So I always say, if I can do it, you can do it too. Okay, getting nice and thick. I like this. And it's nice and creamy, nice and smooth. So there is one other ingredient that I didn't mention. It's not a necessity. It's olive oil. Sometimes at the end, when doing the breadcrumb topping, I like to spray it with a little bit of olive oil just to help crisp up the breadcrumbs a little bit more, because I like broil it for like a minute at the end, because I really like the crunchy stuff. Okay, so that's pretty good. It's been a few minutes, and I was just trying to cook it down. It seems a little runnier. I'm kind of wondering if I put in more than 1/4 cup of butter. But I think we're okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour in the milk. I can hear it sizzling. I'm just going to do a little bit. Now you're going to see it really kind of start breaking up. That's okay. Don't want it to burn or scald the milk. What we're going to do now is just kind of continue to break up stir it. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. And we want this milk to thicken. This will take about a few minutes. And you want to constantly stir it, because you really don't want the milk to burn. And like I said, don't worry if you see all the little clumps in here. That's normal. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on. I feel like I need to add a little bit more flour. So I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit more in here. Okay, now it's starting to really thicken up. So an obvious shortcut here, if you don't want to go through all this roux making process, you could just use cream of mushroom soup, cream of chicken soup. Once it starts thickening, you can turn it down a little bit. It's starting to boil. Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do... Okay, so I'm good with this. So at this point, and it's just starting to boil, I'm going to actually add in my mushrooms. Now, I like to chop my mushrooms very small, just to spread it out throughout the casserole more. Now, I would normally be using fresh mushrooms, Bella baby mushrooms, button mushrooms, but I didn't have any of those, so I didn't have any in the freezer, so I used some canned mushrooms that I have. It's still a little runny, but it's not like super thick, but it will thicken as it bakes and get all that flavor throughout. And so I already drained my pasta, and remember, I did not cook it all the way, and it's okay if you do, if you're a little nervous about having it undercooked. Now, one thing I want to mention about the onions. So with the onions, you'll notice I didn't cook them first. Now, a lot of people will say to go ahead and cook these first and then set it aside. Well, when we do casseroles here, what we do is we'll just cut up the onions really small, like really dice them, and then just go ahead and add them in, and it'll cook, because we're going to bake it for about 30 minutes. So I'm just going to actually add it in here just to help soften the mushrooms a little bit. Okay, good. Now I'm going to transfer this over and mix it into I gotta watch my wrists because my wrists are really weak. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and pour it in. It smells so good. And I'll put this over here. All right, now get that mixed in there. So now what I'm gonna do is just simply add in all the other ingredients except the breadcrumbs. I'm gonna add in the cheese. Now you can do the cheese a few different ways. You can put some of the cheese in with the mixture and then some in the breadcrumb mixture. I've done that, that's good. But today I'm just gonna put it all on the inside. And these quantities are flexible, you know, especially like with the turkey, you know. Oh yeah, the black pepper, you gotta do the black pepper. Well, you don't have to, but I was making it before and I didn't put in black pepper and it was just missing something. I just added the cracked black pepper and I was like, that's it. Go ahead and add in the turkey. And I'm just gonna do a dash of parsley. Really don't need much of that. So I'm just gonna do a dash, maybe like 1/4 teaspoon. By the way, if you enjoy Italian recipes and you're enjoying this and finding this video of some value, please make sure to like the video and then also subscribe if you're not already, and click that notification button, because what happens when you click the notification, as I come out with more videos, you'll get notified. So, okay, so this is looking good. Get all this out of here. And you'll notice I'm not using garlic in this recipe. I just don't think it's needed. Now I have here a 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. Sprinkle the breadcrumbs on top. And I'm just using plain breadcrumbs. I like to make my own with stale bread. If you want to use seasoned Italian breadcrumbs, that would probably taste really good. I don't always like the seasonings that are in some of the pre-made ones. I really like to have control over it. But I actually think that would actually taste pretty good for this. So now what I'm gonna do, and you don't have to do this, but I'm just gonna do a quick spray of some olive oil just to help crisp up those breadcrumbs. I'm gonna do this uncovered in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes and at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So, see you in a little bit. And if you're wondering why I walked this way instead of putting it into my oven here, it's because I don't always use this oven. I have a Breville over there, a smart oven, and I like to use that. So, all right, friends, so I just took this out of the oven and it is looking and smelling delicious. So a few things I want to talk about before we dig into this is some modifications of what you can do, other things you can do with this recipe. So as I mentioned kind of throughout, you can also add in a cream of mushroom soup, a cream of chicken soup. You can add in some vegetables like peas would be good. So lots of different things. You can do different types of seasonings if you want, different Italian seasonings. I like to keep mine really simple, but you can definitely expand on that. And another thing that you can do is if you don't want to use the turkey, you can also use chicken. So you could have a chicken tetrazzini or a chicken Italian casserole. So let's talk about some things that you can serve on the side. Well, obviously you would like some vegetables, so you could do some sauteed zucchini, you could do mashed potatoes, you can do, you could put your peas on the side, you could do some asparagus. So lots of different options. Of course, a salad would also go really well with this dish. And if you still got some of that leftover cranberry sauce, I think that'll go good on this side too. Love cranberry sauce with the whole berries. Oh. All right, let's take a little bite here. So I got a nice golden crust on the top, and the reason part of that is because I actually broiled it the last minute and a half or so, just because I really wanted to get them really, really nice and golden brown. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but it's steamy, so it's really hot. And this is nice because I can see the cheese throughout. It's not real creamy, liquidy. That's not what I was looking for. I don't like it swimming in a sauce or swimming in a cheese. Some people use cream cheese in their tetrazzini. Some people use cheddar cheese. I don't like going that route, but you know, you can always try it. Mmm. Tastes just as good as it smells. That is for sure. This is really good. I'm gonna take another bite here. Such a great way to use up that turkey. It is delicious. Well, you know what? if I don't watch it and move on, I'll be like sitting here just talking and eating the whole time. It's really, really good. Absolutely delicious. I really hope you try it. Make sure to give a like, subscribe if you like these recipes and want more of them. Sign up for my newsletter too. Links are all below. I love sending out recipes every week. Friends, thank you so much for watching. If you have your own special tricks for this recipe, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Grazie e ciao.